Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me on this lovely Sunday evening here. We're about 30 minutes out from the weekly candle closure in the crypto markets, but I wanted to just lay out and create this video to explain my charts for the week ahead on Bitcoin. We're going to cover Ethereum and last but not least, XRP. I decided to make a little video. This will be rather short, but I figured this would be more helpful for those who prefer to see the video and the visual of the charts and the analysis instead of just the pictures of the charts and my written dialogue from it. So I figured, why not? Let's make a quick video. It's been a while since I've made one of these, and I'm looking forward to getting back into them. So I'm pretty excited to make this video, and let's get to it. So let's start it off by looking on the weekly time frame here on Bitcoin. We have up the Bitfinex exchange, the chart here. As you can see, we all know from last week, we had the bullish explosion to the upside, breaking out of the $4,200 prior resistance, now labeled as support. Of course, you know how that goes. And what we kind of had, we did have some selling into the week, more so a retracement and a retest. This wasn't really a surprise as this is a rather large move, actually the largest move we've had so far to start 2019, but I mean, we haven't seen this kind of volatility since the breakdown of the 6K support, and probably one of the more bullish candles we've seen since, let's go back to the summer. Kind of looks a lot like that candle through here. And if we copy that, actually, I think it looks really similar. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so I would say it's pretty similar to that candle. And so it was pretty expected that we had some kind of consolidation or sideways movement in this week and potentially into this week ahead. We could obviously have another inside candle inside of this high wave candlestick. It is trying to get bought back up into the close here, forming closer to a doji. But either way, the sentiment is still there for. Sorry, guys, I got a phone call. Anyway, gosh, I apologize for that, friends. So another thing we had is we had to retest the $4,900 support zone through here, as you can see. But another external confluence we had is a retest of this trend line, the blue trend line through here, as we broke out of and retraced almost perfectly there, as you can see. So there was a couple confluences there, and it was pretty expected with that. Now, pulling into the daily chart, let's go a little bit more into detail. What we had the breakout of this zone, consolidated for majority of last week, really, majority of the week prior to this one, consolidated through here, but also to start the week, we did consolidate within this zone. As you can see, we had some brief buying up to here, up to test that prior swing high, is 53.50 level, just about. And we came just shy of a breakout. We did have a brief breakout here on the 4-hour chart. I'll show you in a minute. Coming just shy of the $5,500 price zone through here, as you can see, my crosshair. But it did get pushed back down and rejected this level, which did cause the selling here on the 11th at the end of the week. So that was something I was looking out for. We had this prior swing high labeled here. We had one touch rejection, two touch. The third test was the rejection that we did have. So it made a lot of sense to see that. I know people were jumping on board kind of through here, trying to long this resistance. Mostly the people that were doing that, those were the ones that missed this entire move, and I don't blame them. The FOMO gets to you, and it's pretty exciting times in the market, not because we haven't really seen much since this initial move, but just to see some volatility, some bullish sentiment really is what a lot of people were longing for, and we're really excited to see. So myself included, but I was a little bit more patient on that, and patience is virtue once again. So we had that before coming back down and wiping out. Let's zoom in on the 4-hour just to see through there. So, people were people were longing in through here. I don't blame them. Really nice, but you can kind of see when we did have that strong breakout above this prior swing high. You can see the price level through here, 53.40 level. We had the 4-hour closure above it before being smacked and rejecting immediately back down. Something just for future reference, anytime you see a breakout of resistance through here, and any breakout in general, whether it's resistance or a breakdown, you want to see anywhere from 1.5 to 2 times the amount of usual volume through here to kind of confirm that it's a solid breakout and it's not just a fake out like this. So as you can see through here, low volume all the way. You see some spikes to the upside with some more buying, but really that's actually selling pressure coming in, wicking to this resistance. And when we had that, you can see really low volume in through here before the manipulative spike to the upside. And actually zooming into the hourly chart, just get a really clear look at that. You can actually see most of the volume was coming in on the sell side of this. And so that's kind of what prevented me from, obviously I wouldn't really long that, but kind of I was looking for a short trade through there. Didn't get triggered into it because of how this candle pulled up, but nonetheless, as long as you don't have to take the trade, as long as it keeps you from taking the bullish trade and getting wrecked on that, that's good enough for me in my book. So that's exactly what happened. They pulled it back down to this price swing low. It's kind of a magnet here at 5,100. We can get rid of that now. Let's keep this 53.40 line there because that is still resistance. Although we did have the breakout above this, the 4-hour closure, because of how far, because of how strong we rejected that, I do think that is still resistance for the time being. So kind of what I'm looking for now is still a bullish sentiment here, cautiously bullish. We are still forming higher lows. You can see the initial push up. Here's the prior swing low. Just mark that out. Prior swing low through here. And once again, push up, created a new high, but we didn't see a body closure above there. So now you kind of have this as the new higher low. So I do like the bullish sentiment just because we kind of are staircasing up to the upside, and I'd like to see a new high, at least to retest this 53.40 level. But ultimately, I think if we do test this once again, that will be the breakthrough we need to have the higher price discovery to the 56.50 resistance, minor resistance level, but ultimately a retest of this $6,000 major resistance, and just major key level. Everyone's going to have their eyes on that level, and I think that's really going to be a magnet for price action here. Kind of, let's lay this out. So we have this $4,900 support. We have the top of the wick there. Really, this liquidity zone, if we come into the 4-hour, this really displays what's going on right now a lot better. Let's just tint that a little bit more. So as you can see, we have the $4,900 to the top of this wick. We had the prior line there, but I kind of like the region better because of how choppy this price action is right now. It is very whipsaw. You have spikes to the downside and upside galore. Lots of liquidity in this market getting ready for a major move. Whether that is to the upside or downside, I cannot tell you, but we can make a high probability prediction. Once again, like I said, higher lows coming in through here, higher lows. Yeah, we do have the wicks down to these regions, but you can see them all getting bought back up and forming higher body closures through here. So what do I think is the case? So for, like I said, the bullish side here, let's scope this out real quick. What we have here is actually in the last hour, and as we're about to close this 4-hour candle, we did see a little bit of a push to the upside into this prior swing. Let's get it right there before the failure. I think this was kind of, can't really say manipulative, but we did have this push up into this resistance. I know a lot of people were looking for higher, like a higher move from here immediately, but I think that's them just buying it up into the weekly candle closure, like I said earlier. And so now what we kind of have here in the short term, what I'm going to look for is a retest of this region one more time, either the $5,100 region or even lower down here to the 50-50 level. And for me, I think that'd be a really good long opportunity, whether it forms a double bottom through here or at least just an additional spike, perhaps stopping people out here that were, taking the breakout above here, stop below here. I'd love to see a wick down to here for a long opportunity into this initial 50, 5650 region, but ultimately into the $6,000 region, I think is something that we can easily see here. I'm not going to say in a straight line like that, but you guys get the gist of it. I think that people are kind of waiting for a major move. So if we do see the break above this 5340 level, I think that move would be pretty rapid break to the upside. And I think that would provide a really good long opportunity for this week, within the next couple of days, but also potentially just into the end of the month. We're about smack dab here in April. We've got about a week and a half left. So plenty of time for another upside push before potentially coming back down and maybe forming new lows. I'm not so sure yet. We're get to it. We'll get to that when the time comes. But for now, let's just focus on the short-term and medium-term analysis here on Bitcoin. So, yep, I hope that's pretty clear. Now let's hop over to Ethereum now. Let's hop over to Ethereum. Pretty similar stuff. Let's take a peek at the weekly. Like I said, high wave candle on the weekly chart right now. And I do imagine this is probably how we close here. 15 minutes, 14 minutes. I don't really think anything too drastic will happen. Let me get it. So guys, high wave candle there on the weekly. I do like this because for the bullish sentiment, I do like this as we are retesting the prior highs here. You see the weekly body highs through here. Last week, we had the body closure above here, really bullish candle closing above the prior swing high right here at the 170.50 level. And what that kind of told to me is we probably more likely see higher price discovery in the short term and medium term rather than a retest down lower. Obviously, that could occur, but right now I'm kind of leaning, and this applies for Bitcoin as well, I'm kind of leaning 70%. We see those upside targets met, and 30% we see a surprise to the downside. That's just my bias. Anything can happen, like I said. But just looking at the charts here, I do think that we are in store for higher price upside. So you can see we came in on the daily chart. Let's take a peek. You can see we are retesting this zone. We had the initial spike to this 180. Let's get so the prior swing high right through here, the 180 resistance region, and we saw the quick spike to there, pulling back down to retest these prior highs, and then we finally did see that next swing up. Kind of the same sentiment. Like I said, on Bitcoin, we are staircasing to the upside. It kind of looks like forming new high, a higher low here, a higher low here off the 160 region. And it kind of does look like we probably do staircase our way higher here. Coming in, we did touch this. I'll show that better on the 4 hour. So came in, retested this 160 region, and it kind of does look like I would like to see this body closure above this pivot right through here for it to move that like that, and it kind of looks like we will see that. That'd be pretty strong in my book, at least for the short term, to see another move to the upside. But a lot of things can change here in the last 10 minutes. So I'd like to see that to kind of confirm the short term that we probably do see upside. This could play out as a head and shoulders pattern, and we could see downside to retest the 145 to really the 135 support through here. Let's get a zone. Yep, yeah, so that looks pretty good. If we are to see surprise to the downside, that would be it. This trend line, it's pretty steep slope here. So if we do see a breakdown, I think that would make a lot of sense. If we were to pull up a fib just for the downside level. Yeah. So if we see a spike to the upside to 50% here at 174, then potentially, and a strong rejection, I'll put it that way. If we see a strong rejection up in through here, then I'll look for these downside targets at 145 and 135. But like I said, with Bitcoin as well, my bias is bullish for the short term, medium term as well. So above this 180 handle, if we can get above here, this region, then I ultimately think we come into the $200 region, which is minor support. Ultimately, I do think we probably come into the 225, the monthly resistance from there. And I like to see that more so into the end of April, into the end of the month here, if we are to see a push to the upside. Pulling into the 4-hour here just to get a closer look finally. So you can see we are having that spike up right now. Let's get rid of we are having the spike to the upside now. Let's fine tune this a little bit. And like I said, this is the trend line that we're working with right now. I like that better. That placement, just because you have the initial wick here, second wick, and you can see, yeah, we did break out of it and violate it, but I kind of like that because it's really a fake out. I like to use these trend line as kind of like fake trap lines, because people are looking to short this immediately. Obviously, people did do that, and it trapped a lot of people. Why I still think that this is validated is because we had the immediate violent push up as soon as we broke that. So I'm going to use that for now, and mostly because it does align. Gosh, sorry about that, guys. Getting another phone call. So we did see the push to the upside right through here at the 164 region last night, touching this trend line once again. And I do like that we are forming higher lows, but I would like to see a push to the upside in the shorter term, just to kind of violate the potential head and shoulders pattern that's forming here. It does look like that could be the case, but I think that that's kind of just, I don't really give it too much weight until we see the loss of this 160 level, and then we have the downside levels as we discussed below. So now if we were to pull up a fib line for the upside targets, we can do something like this. How does that look? Let's pull into the daily. Usually I like to do that for get some of this. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better. I like that better. It does align with our upside targets through here, 200, just shy of this in the 220 zone through here, and then a break above, bringing us to this prior high. Let's get rid of that. Who knows what that's from? Yep. So, a couple confluences there just to keep in mind. Keep an eye on this trend line. If that's broken, I think we see a very swift break to the downside through here. But ultimately, I still do have that bullish sentiment intact, the bullish bias intact. Now, hopping over to XRP. Some really interesting stuff going on in XRP here. Honestly, I hate to say it, guys, but I think we have more downside in store for XRP here. So let's look at the weekly candle first before we discuss why that might be. So we have the really strong bullish candle through here from last week. Right now we're forming an inside candle, most likely going to close like this, an inside candle on the weekly chart through there. The reason why I do think that could be the case of more downside is because we came up, had to push into this 3850 zone before the immediate rejection. And I'll look at that more on the daily here now. So broke out of this region, broke above the 3250 zone through here, had the retest and the push up once again. Why I have a little bit more of a bearish bias is if we extend this through there, pull that to there. you can kind of see we did reject this 38 zone right through here. We had the 1 test, 2 test, and got just shy of it here for the 3rd test and coming back down and melting lower. We have this, if we take the body to body through here, you can see this has been a major key level here at the 35-cent zone. We have many wicks coming to this in a very volatile level that has been respected, but breaking out of it, I wanted to see us hold above this level for higher price discovery. You guys know I did have an upside bias here coming into the 43 cents and possibly into the top end here at the 46.50 zone. But the way we rejected this 38-cent zone, I have more biased, bearish bias here on XRP compared to Ethereum and Bitcoin. And although they have been moving pretty tagline to one-on-one in tandem, I think we could potentially see a decoup here, and we could see something completely different than the rest of the market on XRP. If that is the case, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a bad thing. I would say it's probably a good thing, mostly because it's another opportunity for us to buy some really cheap XRP, but also because XRP is doing something completely different than the rest of the market, fundamentally speaking. So if the technicals are going to do something completely different, then so be it. So here we are. If we do see some selling here, pretty similar to the downside on Ethereum, if we take this, if we do see a little bit of a push up here to start the week, I would like that a lot coming into this 50% retracement level, aligning with the 35-cent zone, 50% retracement through here, coming into the 4-hour here as well. You can kind of see we have this trend line that we've wicked to once, twice, came to shy of it here melting down. So now I think if we can get a spike to this 35-cent zone, that would be the 3rd touch that would give us for the downside region. So a test of this 35-cent zone in my book makes a lot of sense. I think that would potentially be a good short opportunity if we see a rejection from that level, but ultimately I'm just gonna get ready to buy some when we come into the lower regions for the long term. I have some fiat loaded into the exchange from last week. I put some fresh capital there to take advantage of some of the altcoin setups, but also most importantly XRP. So if we see a loss of this 32.50 zone, I do think that we probably come once again into the 30-cent region through here. We have the daily trend line right here is another confluence. So I mean, this could be just a short-lived sell-off to the downside. We could see a pretty rapid spike up through here, a wick down to here, and see some strong buying, kind of like this candle, something like this. And if that is the case, so be it. Forming another higher low on the daily would be good news for longs and bulls, and we could easily come back with the upside target still intact. However, why I kind of do think that we do have more downside to come is if you look through here, we have the prior swing low here. So that's the initial lower high. We have another lower high. So lower high, lower low, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower high. Let's copy this. This is what I'm kind of looking at. If this is another spike, then we could potentially make that new lower low. And if we copy this movement, that is a pretty steep slope, but you guys get it. You guys get the gist of it, kind of coming into this region. If we copy that down through here, it does take us into this 25-cent zone. It does take us into that 25-cent zone. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I do think that we could potentially come into this 25-cent zone. And you know the saying, one of the best advertisements and deals around town, 4 for $1. And if that is the case, I'm going to be buying me a couple of those. I'm going to buy myself one metric crap ton, or you can use your imagination for whatever words. But I'm going to buy 1 metric unit of a crap ton of XRP through here if we do see that region met. And guys, I think, man, I will be so thankful if that's the case, because anyone that was buying XRP through summer through here in 2017, you know that the risk reward down here, guys, at 25 cents. Just take a step back. Let's take a step back. Picking up at 25 cents. That's more than 10 times your all-time highs, guys. All-time highs are laughable in valuation as well. So the deals down here are just incredible. So I'm kind of fingers crossed that we see some downside here. Although it would mean that we see a downside break of this weekly trend line, which will be a hard breakup for me. This has been a beloved trend line that's provided a lot of great long opportunities, swing trades, day trades from here. But it'll be one of the worst breakups I've ever experienced. I'm just kidding, guys. It comes and goes. So be it. That'll be a major fake out. That's when everyone will be so bearish on this thing, guys. What you'll be reading is that XRP is making new lows for the yearly lows, and if Bitcoin and Ethereum are rallying at that same time, it'll be very widely discussed that there's some fundamental issue wrong with XRP on why it's bearish when everything's bullish and whatnot. You guys know the drill. If that's the case, so be it. If we pull up the fib level here for another confluence, we have high to low through here. You can see we had the wave 1, 2 retracement to the 50% level. Coming in here, you can see this 2.7 extension was respected very well on the weekly time frame through here, and now coming in, getting just shy of the 3.82 fib retracement. I think now we could see the downside levels being met. I like another confluence. Like I said, my targets, upside and downside, are always based on confluences. So we have the major support level here, so price action number 1. We have number 2, we have the fib levels, but number 3, we had the arrow that I showed you. So if we're copying the lengths of the moves. So to me, that's not very unrealistic. Potentially, we do have the 100% coming down into the 20-cent region. I'm not going to rule it out. Obviously, anything can happen in this market. I do think that's less likely to occur just because of how many, there's going to be tons of buy orders sitting here at the ready. Looking last time we came here in the summer, you can see these large spikes and buys. There's lots of buy orders down here, guys. So I don't really think that we do break through that. If we do, buy more. It's pretty easily, guys. It's really easy on XRP. Just buy more. If we see downside, buy more. If we see upside, buy more. And so if we do see spikes to this region, I'm going to be a buyer through there. If we see that broken 20-cent region as well, ultimately the reason why I don't really see much difference is because if we come into the monthly here, you can really count this as one large region. You can kind of, so if we take this initial sell-off candle, I know there's history coming back before this. This is just on this given exchange on Bitfinex. If you take this large liquidity zone, so from the body closure to the bottom of the wick, that's ultimately just a huge liquidity zone. So I think that really you could see a spike down to this region as a whole. And I'm not going to be too nitpicky on what the level is through there, because I think if we do see a spike down there, it'll be a pretty large lower wick. I think we probably see some large buying coming in here. So I think it'd be a brief tap of this region and getting bought back up to the upside. So guys, that is all here on the wrap up of your Sunday analysis provided by Trading Patterns and Trends. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you guys have any questions, let me know on Slack. Feel free to ask them in the crypto channels. Feel free to DM me, whatever works for you guys. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you later.